When someone occupies your thoughts without any form of communication, it often points to an unspoken connection that defies the usual boundaries of relationships. This connection, while invisible, carries a profound energy that binds two individuals on a level far deeper than the physical. It's not merely about missing someone or a fleeting memory, it's about a resonance between two souls that exist despite the absence of words, gestures, or proximity. This phenomenon can feel both mystifying and overwhelming, as if there is a magnetic pull drawing your attention to that individual without any conscious effort on your part. This connection could stem from a shared emotional history or a moment of vulnerability that created a bond. These are not easily severed by distance or silence, because the energy exchange between two people in such moments becomes imprinted within us. You may not realize it, but the experiences you share with someone leave a mark not just in your memory, but in your emotional and spiritual being. When that person comes to mind repeatedly, it may not always be because you are actively thinking of them, but because the connection you share is alive, pulsating quietly in the background of your life. Thoughts are energy, and energy flows where attention goes. The presence of someone in your mind without communication could mean that your subconscious is aligning with the frequency of that person. This alignment may not require their active participation. Instead, it is a silent dance of energies that occurs beneath the surface. For example, you may find that certain songs, places, or even random moments remind you of this person. It's not coincidence, it's the power of an energetic connection seeking expression in your waking life. In the absence of communication, these thoughts might feel like whispers from an unseen force. You might wonder why this person lingers in your consciousness, especially when no words have been exchanged. It's because energy is not bound by time or space. When two people connect on a deeper level, their energies intermingle, creating a bridge that doesn't necessarily require physical interaction to remain intact. This is why you might feel their presence even when they are miles away, or when weeks, months, or even years have passed since your last conversation. Moreover, this connection might not be something you consciously initiated. It's often said that people come into our lives for a reason, and sometimes their presence serves as a catalyst for growth, healing, or transformation. When someone occupies your thoughts persistently, it could be because their energy holds a message for you. Perhaps they represent something you need to address within yourself, a wound to heal, a lesson to learn, or an aspiration to pursue. Their presence in your mind acts as a gentle nudge, urging you to pay attention to what their energy represents in your life. This energetic bond can also manifest as a form of telepathic communication. While it may sound esoteric, many people experience moments where they feel the thoughts or emotions of someone they are deeply connected to, even without physical contact. This isn't necessarily about reading minds, but about being attuned to the vibrations of another person. If this individual occupies your thoughts, it may be because their energy is reaching out to you consciously or unconsciously, creating a ripple effect that you perceive as an unshakable presence in your mind. It's important to understand that such connections are not always reciprocal in the same way. You might feel their energy intensely, but they may not be experiencing the same depth of thought about you, or vice versa. This doesn't diminish the connection's validity, it simply highlights the unique ways in which individuals process and respond to energetic bonds. Sometimes the purpose of this connection is not to bring two people closer in the physical sense, but to teach one or both individuals something valuable about themselves. There's also a profound spiritual aspect to this phenomenon. Many believe that we are all connected on a universal level, and the relationships we form in this lifetime are echoes of connections that existed before. The persistence of someone in your mind without communication might be a sign of a soul connection, a bond that transcends the constraints of this lifetime. In such cases, their energy might serve as a reminder of shared experiences from a past existence, or it could signify a connection that has yet to fully unfold in this lifetime. This kind of connection can be both comforting and disconcerting. On one hand, it's a testament to the depth of human relationships and the unseen forces that bind us. On the other hand, it can leave you questioning why this person holds such power over your thoughts, especially when no communication exists to sustain the bond. The answer lies in the intangible nature of energy itself. It cannot be contained, measured, or dismissed simply because it doesn't conform to logical explanations. You might find yourself drawn to understanding more about this person, their feelings, or their life, even in their absence. This curiosity is not random, it is your energy responding to theirs, seeking balance or closure in some way. Whether you act on these thoughts or not, their presence serves as a mirror, reflecting aspects of your own energy and emotions that require attention. When someone consistently occupies your thoughts without communication, it often reveals an unspoken truth. They may represent unmet emotional needs or desires within you. This phenomenon goes beyond simple daydreaming or nostalgic reflections. It delves into the intricate workings of your mind and heart. The individual becomes a mirror, reflecting something deeper about your longings, aspirations, or even the voids you may not have consciously acknowledged. Their presence in your thoughts, persistent and sometimes overwhelming, signals that they symbolize something significant, even if you don't immediately realize it. Human beings are wired to seek connection and fulfillment. When there's a gap in these areas, whether in the form of unfulfilled love, a lack of emotional intimacy, or a yearning for something deeper, your mind often gravitates toward an image or memory that represents what you crave. This person occupying your thoughts might be the embodiment of the qualities or emotions you feel are missing in your life. They may represent kindness, passion, understanding, or a sense of belonging that you deeply desire. Even if your interactions with them were brief or limited, their impression lingers because they symbolize a need your soul is striving to fulfill. This phenomenon often operates on a subconscious level. You may not consciously recognize what it is about them that keeps pulling your attention, but the mind works in mysterious ways, connecting dots that are not always visible to you. Perhaps their presence in your life brought a fleeting sense of joy, hope, or validation, and now, in their absence, your subconscious clings to that feeling, trying to recreate it. The person themselves becomes less important than what they represent: a dream, an ideal, or an emotional state that you long to experience again. When someone represents unmet desires, your thoughts about them may also take on a heightened sense of urgency or intensity. This happens because the mind often fixates on what it perceives as incomplete or unresolved. If you have unspoken feelings, unfinished conversations, or unrealized possibilities with this person, they can become the focal point of your inner world. You might find yourself imagining scenarios where things turn out differently, where you say what was left unsaid or explore the potential you once saw in the connection. These thoughts aren't random. They're a response to the emotional tension created by unfulfilled expectations or dreams. The persistent presence of this person in your mind can also stem from a deep emotional imprint they left on you. Emotions are powerful, and when someone evokes strong feelings, whether love, admiration, or even pain, they can leave a lasting impression that your mind keeps revisiting. This is especially true if those emotions remain unresolved or unprocessed. For instance, if they awaken a part of you that had been dormant, a sense of passion, vulnerability, or hope, the absence of communication might feel like a loss, and your thoughts become a way of holding on to what they represented. Another layer to this dynamic is the human tendency to idealize those who are absent. When communication ceases, the mind often fills the void with imagined possibilities or idealized versions of the person. You might remember their best qualities while glossing over the flaws or challenges of the connection. This process can amplify their significance in your mind, making them seem even more vital to your sense of fulfillment. The more you focus on them, the more they become intertwined with your unmet needs and desires, creating a cycle that keeps them at the forefront of your thoughts. Sometimes the person in question might not even be someone you were deeply involved with. They could be an acquaintance, a fleeting connection, or even someone you admire from afar. Yet their presence in your mind speaks volumes about your internal state. Perhaps they embody qualities you aspire to develop in yourself: confidence, kindness, or creativity. In such cases, your thoughts about them serve as a form of projection, where your mind uses their image as a symbol for what you seek to cultivate in your own life. This persistent focus on another person can also signal an imbalance in your emotional or spiritual energy. When you have unmet needs, your energy may unconsciously seek an external source to fill the void. The person who occupies your thoughts becomes a kind of placeholder for the fulfillment you're seeking. This doesn't mean they're the only solution to your longing, but their presence in your mind highlights the areas of your life where you feel incomplete or unfulfilled. It's important to recognize that the thoughts you have about this person are not necessarily about them as an individual, but about what they represent to you. They could symbolize love, acceptance, or a sense of purpose, things that might feel out of reach in your current circumstances. Your mind uses their image as a way to process these feelings, creating a narrative that ties them to your deeper emotional needs. This narrative can be both comforting and challenging, as it brings your desires to the surface while also reminding you of what's missing. When someone occupies your mind in this way, it often signals a need for introspection. What is it about them that resonates so deeply with you? What unmet desires or emotional needs do they represent? By exploring these questions, you can begin to uncover the deeper truths behind their persistent presence in your thoughts. When someone constantly occupies your mind without communication, it often signifies the presence of unfinished emotional energy between you and that person. This energy lingers unspoken and unresolved, forming a powerful undercurrent in your thoughts. It isn't simply about longing or memory, it's about the unexpressed emotions and unclosed chapters that tie your subconscious to their presence. These unresolved emotions act as invisible threads, pulling your attention back to them repeatedly, even in the absence of active contact or interaction. Unfinished emotional energy can manifest in many forms. Perhaps there were words left unsaid, feelings unshared, or actions you wish you had taken but didn't. These unresolved elements create a kind of emotional dissonance, a sense of incompleteness that your mind seeks to address. Human beings have an innate desire for closure, and when that closure is missing, the mind works tirelessly to find ways to process and reconcile the open-ended aspects of the relationship. This is why thoughts of this person can feel so persistent, almost like a loop that your mind can't quite escape. In some cases, the lack of communication might amplify this feeling of unfinished energy. Silence often creates a vacuum, and in that void, your mind begins to fill the gaps with what-ifs and hypothetical scenarios. You may find yourself replaying past interactions, analyzing what was said and what wasn't, or imagining how things might have been different if circumstances had changed. This mental activity isn't just idle pondering, it's your subconscious attempting to resolve the tension created by the unresolved nature of your connection with this person. There's also a profound emotional weight that comes with unfinished energy. It can feel like carrying around an invisible burden, one that subtly influences your mood, thoughts, and even your decisions. This weight often stems from the emotional investment you've made in this person. When that investment doesn't reach a clear resolution, it can leave behind a residue that colors your inner world. Even if you consciously try to move on or distract yourself, the emotional energy tied to this person lingers, pulling your thoughts back to them time and time again. Another dimension to this is the role of regret and guilt in keeping someone present in your mind. If you feel that you could have done something differently, expressed your feelings more openly, handled the situation with more care, or made an effort to maintain the connection, these thoughts can create a cycle of self-reflection and self-reproach. This cycle reinforces the presence of unfinished energy as your mind continues to dwell on what might have been and what could still be. Unfinished energy isn't just about negative emotions, though. It can also stem from positive feelings that were never fully expressed or realized. Perhaps you saw potential in this connection, a sense of mutual understanding, shared goals, or emotional depth that was never given the chance to flourish. This potential, left unrealized, becomes a source of unresolved energy. Your thoughts about this person become a way of holding on to the hope or possibility of what could have been, even if circumstances now make it seem unlikely. In many ways, this unfinished energy serves as a reminder of the emotional risks we take when we form connections with others. Relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or familial, are rarely linear or predictable. They are shaped by a complex interplay of emotions, circumstances, and choices. When these connections end abruptly or remain unresolved, they leave behind a kind of energetic imprint, one that can persist long after the physical or verbal relationship has ceased. This imprint isn't just emotional, it can also be mental and even physical. You might find that certain places, songs, or experiences trigger vivid memories of this person, bringing them back to the forefront of your mind. These triggers are not random, they are tied to the unfinished energy you share. They act as reminders of the unresolved aspects of your connection, reigniting the emotions and thoughts associated with them. It's also important to consider that unfinished energy can exist on both sides of a connection, even if you're not in direct contact. The absence of communication doesn't mean that the other person isn't also experiencing their own version of this energy. Just as you may feel their presence in your thoughts, they may also feel yours, creating a silent exchange that transcends the boundaries of words or actions. This shared energy, while intangible, can have a profound impact on your emotional well-being. It might manifest as a sense of longing, confusion, or even restlessness. You might feel as though you're waiting for something, an explanation, a reconciliation, or a sign that may or may not ever come. This sense of waiting is a hallmark of unfinished energy, as it reflects the part of you that still seeks closure or resolution. Ultimately, the persistence of unfinished energy speaks to the depth of the connection you shared with this person. Whether the relationship was brief or long-lasting, its impact has left a mark on your emotional landscape, one that continues to influence your thoughts and feelings. This lingering energy is not a sign of weakness or failure. It's a testament to the complexity of human emotions and the profound ways in which we are shaped by the people who come into our lives. When someone consistently occupies your mind without communication, it can often indicate the presence of a strong energetic connection between you and that person. This connection transcends physical interactions or verbal exchanges, operating on a level that is less tangible but equally, if not more, powerful. Energetic bonds are formed through shared experiences, emotions, and even unspoken interactions, creating a link that persists regardless of the circumstances. This type of connection can feel magnetic, drawing your thoughts back to the individual repeatedly, almost as though an invisible thread binds your energy to theirs. Energetic connections are not accidental. They develop when two individuals resonate on a deeper emotional, mental, or even spiritual frequency. This resonance creates an alignment that goes beyond surface-level interactions. When you share a significant moment, an intense emotional experience, or a profound sense of understanding with someone, it can forge an energetic bond that endures long after the moment itself has passed. These bonds are often difficult to sever because they tap into the core of who you are, touching aspects of your identity, desires, and vulnerabilities. What makes these connections particularly compelling is their ability to bypass the constraints of time and space. Even if you haven't spoken to or seen the person in years, their presence can still be vividly felt. This is because energetic connections are rooted in memory and emotion, both of which have a lasting impact on the human psyche. The mind retains the imprint of the connection, and the energy associated with it continues to flow, keeping the bond alive in subtle yet persistent ways. This phenomenon often becomes more pronounced in the absence of communication. When there's no direct interaction to anchor your perception of the relationship, the energetic connection takes center stage, filling the void with thoughts, feelings, and memories. You may find yourself thinking about the person at unexpected moments, sensing their presence as though they were still a part of your daily life. These experiences are not random. They are a reflection of the energetic tie that continues to exist between you, even in their physical absence. Energetic connections can manifest in various forms, each with its unique characteristics. In some cases, they might feel uplifting and empowering, providing a sense of comfort or inspiration. The person may serve as a source of motivation or a reminder of a time when you felt particularly alive or understood. Their presence in your thoughts becomes a kind of emotional anchor, grounding you in positive memories and feelings. On the other hand, these connections can also be challenging, especially when they bring up unresolved emotions or highlight areas of your life where you feel incomplete. If the connection was marked by conflict, misunderstanding, or unfulfilled expectations, the energy associated with it might feel heavy or unsettling. In such cases, the person's persistent presence in your mind serves as a reminder of what remains unresolved, urging you to confront the emotions and experiences tied to the bond. The strength of an energetic connection is often amplified by mutual intensity. When two people share a powerful emotional or spiritual experience, their energies become intertwined in a way that is difficult to unravel. This intertwining creates a feedback loop where each person's energy influences the others, even in the absence of direct interaction. You might sense their emotions, thoughts, or presence without any tangible evidence, as though their energy has become a part of your own. This interconnectedness is not always conscious. In fact, it often operates on a subconscious level. You may not fully understand why this person occupies such a significant space in your thoughts, but the connection persists nonetheless. This is because energetic bonds are not bound by logic or reason. They are governed by the deeper intuitive aspects of human experience. They tap into the parts of you that are less concerned with practicality and more attuned to emotion, intuition, and spiritual alignment. Energetic connections also have a way of revealing truths about yourself. When someone occupies your mind in this way, it often prompts introspection, forcing you to examine your own feelings, desires, and motivations. What is it about this person that resonates so deeply with you? What aspects of yourself are reflected in them? These questions can lead to profound self-discovery, as the connection acts as a mirror, reflecting back the parts of you that are seeking attention, growth, or healing. In some instances, the persistence of an energetic connection might indicate unfinished business on a spiritual or karmic level. You may feel drawn to this person because there is a lesson to be learned or a chapter to be completed. This doesn't necessarily mean that you need to reestablish contact or rekindle the relationship. Rather, it suggests that the energy tied to the connection is still in motion, working to resolve itself in a way that promotes growth and understanding for both parties. The persistence of these connections can be both a gift and a challenge. On one hand, they remind you of the depth and richness of human relationships, showing you the profound impact that even a single individual can have on your life. On the other hand, they require you to confront the emotions and experiences tied to the bond, which can be difficult or even painful. These connections demand emotional honesty and self-awareness, pushing you to explore the intricacies of your inner world and the ways in which you relate to others. When someone occupies your mind persistently despite the absence of communication, it often points to a significant role they have played in your personal growth and self-awareness. People enter our lives not by mere coincidence, but through a web of experiences, emotions, and interactions that influence who we are and who we are becoming. The impact they leave on us is rarely superficial. It reaches into the core of our identity, shaping our thoughts, beliefs, and even our behaviors. When such a person lingers in your thoughts, it is often because their presence or absence has catalyzed a journey of reflection and transformation within you. Personal growth often emerges from our relationships and interactions, as they serve as mirrors reflecting aspects of ourselves that we might not have otherwise noticed. This individual may have revealed something profound about your strengths, weaknesses, desires, or fears. Perhaps their presence illuminated qualities you admire or aspire to, or perhaps they highlighted areas where growth was needed. Either way, their influence leaves a lasting impression, one that continues to resonate within you long after communication has ceased. The absence of communication creates a unique dynamic in which you are left to process the relationship's significance on your own terms. Without the ongoing input of their words or actions, your mind begins to focus on the meaning of their impact and the lessons they imparted. This introspection can be both enlightening and challenging. On one hand, it allows you to gain clarity about who you are and what you value. On the other, it forces you to confront emotions, memories, or questions that might be uncomfortable or unresolved. A person's role in your growth is not always linked to positive experiences. Sometimes their impact arises from challenges, conflicts, or even pain. Relationships that test your limits often leave the deepest marks, as they push you to confront aspects of yourself that you might prefer to avoid. These experiences may have forced you to set boundaries, assert your needs, or reevaluate your priorities. In doing so, they helped you develop resilience, self-respect, and a clearer sense of what you want and deserve in life. Even if their role was brief, their influence can be profound. Some individuals come into your life for a short period but leave a lasting legacy. Their presence might have coincided with a pivotal moment, a time of change, or a crossroads where you were forced to make important decisions. Their words, actions, or simply their way of being may have served as a catalyst for self-discovery, prompting you to ask deeper questions about your purpose, direction, or relationships. In many cases, the person's role in your growth is tied to shared experiences that had a profound emotional, intellectual impact. Perhaps they introduced you to new ideas, perspectives, or passions that expanded your understanding of the world and yourself. Maybe their presence gave you the courage to explore parts of yourself that you had previously ignored or suppressed. Their influence might have sparked creativity, ambition, or a renewed sense of purpose, leaving you forever changed by the encounter. The persistent thoughts about this person may also signify that you are still in the process of integrating the lessons they brought into your life. Growth is rarely instantaneous. It unfolds over time as you reflect on and internalize the experiences that have shaped you. This process often involves revisiting memories, re-examining emotions, and reinterpreting the significance of certain events. The person's presence in your mind acts as a guidepost, directing your attention to areas of your life where growth is still occurring. In some cases, this person's role in your growth may be tied to unresolved feelings or unfinished emotional work. Their absence creates a space where you are left to grapple with the emotions that remain, whether they are love, anger, regret, or gratitude. These emotions are not obstacles to growth, but integral parts of it. By engaging with these feelings, you begin to understand yourself more deeply and learn how to navigate the complexities of human connection. This person's influence on your growth is not limited to who you are in the present. It also shapes the person you are becoming. The lessons they brought into your life continue to ripple outward, affecting your choices, relationships, and outlook on life. Their impact may inspire you to pursue new goals, change old patterns, or approach challenges with a renewed sense of confidence and purpose. The role of such individuals in our lives is often multidimensional. They are not just teachers or challengers, they can also be sources of inspiration, comfort, or even aspiration. Their presence in your thoughts may reflect a longing to embody certain qualities they represented or to honor the connection you shared by carrying its lessons forward. Even in their absence, they remain a part of your story, woven into the fabric of your journey toward greater self-awareness and fulfillment. Ultimately, the significance of their role in your growth lies in the fact that they helped you see yourself more clearly. They may have held up a mirror that revealed truths about who you are, what you want, and what you are capable of achieving. Their presence, however fleeting, left an indelible mark on your soul, reminding you of the power of connection and the profound ways in which others can shape our paths. Whether their influence was marked by joy, pain, or a complex mixture of both, it became a vital part of your evolution, propelling you forward on the path to becoming your most authentic self. When someone occupies your thoughts consistently, even in the absence of communication, it often indicates the presence of unresolved emotional energy tied to that individual. This energy manifests in various forms: longing, regret, hope, confusion, or even frustration stemming from experiences, feelings, or dynamics that remain incomplete or unsettled. Emotional energy is a powerful force, and when it is left unresolved, it lingers, seeking closure, understanding, or transformation. The absence of communication only amplifies this, as your mind and heart attempt to fill in the gaps left by silence. Unresolved emotional energy often arises when a relationship or connection ends abruptly or without a sense of completion. This could be due to unspoken words, unaddressed conflicts, or unanswered questions. The lack of closure leaves an emotional imprint that your mind instinctively revisits, trying to piece together the story and make sense of what transpired. This process is natural, as the human psyche seeks resolution and coherence in its experiences. The person's recurring presence in your thoughts is a reflection of this attempt to process and integrate the unresolved aspects of the relationship. At times, this energy stems from feelings that were not fully expressed or acknowledged during the connection. You might have held back your emotions, whether they were feelings of love, anger, disappointment, or gratitude, out of fear, pride, or circumstances that made it difficult to share openly. These unexpressed emotions create a kind of emotional residue that lingers within you, keeping the connection alive in your inner world, even when it no longer exists externally. This can lead to a cycle where the mind continually revisits the past, searching for opportunities to release or resolve these pent-up feelings. Regret is another common source of unresolved emotional energy. Perhaps there are actions you wish you had taken or decisions you wish you had made differently. These what-if scenarios can play on a loop in your mind as you imagine alternative outcomes or wonder how things might have been if circumstances had unfolded differently. Regret is a particularly sticky emotion because it often combines sadness, guilt, and a sense of lost opportunity, making it difficult to release without conscious effort and self-forgiveness. Unresolved emotional energy can also arise from the dynamics of the relationship itself. If the connection was intense, tumultuous, or marked by strong emotional highs and lows, it may have left behind a kind of energetic residue that continues to reverberate within you. These dynamics create emotional patterns that the mind becomes accustomed to, making it difficult to let go even when the relationship has ended. The absence of communication doesn't diminish these patterns. In fact, it can intensify them as your mind clings to the familiarity of the emotional energy they generated. In some cases, the unresolved energy may stem from confusion or a lack of understanding about why the connection unfolded as it did. You may be searching for meaning or clarity, trying to piece together the reasons behind the other person's actions or the circumstances that led to the relationship's end. This lack of understanding creates an open loop in your mind as you attempt to make sense of the situation and find a narrative that feels complete. The unresolved questions keep the connection alive in your thoughts as your mind seeks answers and resolution. Hope can also play a significant role in keeping unresolved emotional energy active. If you still hold on to the possibility of reconnection, reconciliation, or a different outcome in the future, this hope can tether your energy to the person, even in their absence. Hope is a double-edged sword. It can provide comfort and motivation, but it can also keep you stuck in a cycle of longing and anticipation, preventing you from fully moving forward. This dynamic often arises when the connection felt deeply meaningful or when you believe there is unfinished potential between you and the other person. Unresolved emotional energy isn't always negative. It can also be tied to positive memories and feelings that remain vivid in your mind. You might replay moments of joy, connection, or love, cherishing the impact they had on your life. These memories serve as reminders of what the relationship meant to you and the ways in which it enriched your experience. However, even positive emotional energy can become a source of longing or sadness when it is tied to something that no longer exists in your present reality. The absence of communication often exacerbates the intensity of unresolved emotional energy because it leaves a void that the mind instinctively tries to fill. Without new interactions to provide context or closure, the mind turns inward, revisiting past experiences and emotions in an attempt to make sense of the connection. This inward focus can create a feedback loop, where the unresolved energy feeds your thoughts, and your thoughts, in turn, keep the energy alive. Processing unresolved emotional energy requires awareness and intention. It begins with acknowledging the emotions and experiences tied to the person, rather than suppressing or avoiding them. This might involve reflecting on what the connection meant to you, what you learned from it, and what aspects of it remain unfinished. By bringing these emotions and experiences into conscious awareness, you create an opportunity to understand and integrate them, reducing their grip on your thoughts and energy. Unresolved emotional energy also invites you to practice self-compassion and forgiveness. Whether the lingering emotions are tied to actions you regret, feelings you wish you had expressed, or the behavior of the other person, holding on to blame or judgment only perpetuates the cycle of unresolved energy. Forgiving yourself and the other person doesn't mean condoning what happened. It means releasing the emotional charge tied to the experience, freeing yourself to move forward with greater clarity and peace. When someone occupies your mind persistently, even in the absence of communication, it can signify a deep and intrinsic alignment between your soul's journey and the lessons this individual has brought into your life. Human connections are not random. They are often profound and purposeful, tied to the evolution of your inner self. These bonds, whether fleeting or enduring, often carry the weight of transformative lessons that challenge, uplift, or redirect your life's trajectory. The persistent presence of someone in your thoughts could be an indication that their role in your personal growth remains incomplete. Relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or otherwise, serve as mirrors reflecting parts of ourselves we may not yet fully see or understand. When someone occupies your mind without explanation or external interaction, it is a call to look inward and examine the lessons that connection has brought forth. Perhaps their presence highlighted a part of yourself you had yet to acknowledge, a strength, a vulnerability, or an untapped potential that only they could bring to the surface. This alignment is often tied to shared energy and vibration. On a deeper spiritual level, people who leave an indelible mark on your thoughts often resonate with you energetically. This resonance creates a bond that extends beyond physical presence or verbal communication, manifesting instead as a continuous connection in your internal world. Their energy becomes intertwined with yours, influencing your emotions, thoughts, and even decisions in ways that may not be immediately obvious. This energetic alignment may stem from shared values, mutual experiences, or the way their presence amplifies something dormant within you. Such connections frequently challenge you to confront unresolved aspects of your life. When someone is constantly in your mind, it may be a sign that they have triggered a process of introspection or healing that is essential for your growth. Their presence in your thoughts serves as a reminder of unfinished inner work, whether that work involves self-forgiveness, releasing past pain, or embracing a new direction. The emotional intensity they evoke within you, even in their absence, is a signal that their impact was more than surface level. It was transformative. These connections can also reveal patterns or cycles that you may be repeating in your relationships or personal life. The way this person interacted with you, the feelings they evoked, and the dynamics of your connection may shed light on broader themes in your life. Perhaps they exposed a tendency to seek external validation, highlighted your fears of abandonment, or showed you the importance of setting boundaries. By revisiting the memories and emotions tied to this person, you can begin to uncover these recurring patterns and explore how they shape your current mindset and decisions. In some cases, the persistent presence of someone in your mind may indicate that they played the role of a catalyst in your life. Catalysts are individuals who intentionally or unintentionally spark significant change within you. Their role is not always to stay. Instead, they often arrive to ignite something new, a passion, a perspective, or a realization, and then leave, allowing you to continue the journey on your own. Their impact lingers because the change they initiated requires time, reflection, and action to fully integrate into your life. The soul-aligned nature of these connections also points to the concept of karmic relationships. In many spiritual traditions, karmic bonds are understood as relationships that arise to resolve unfinished energy or lessons from past lifetimes. While this idea may feel esoteric to some, the experience of meeting someone who feels inexplicably familiar or who has a profound impact on your life often resonates with this understanding. The persistence of their presence in your thoughts, even without communication, can be a sign that their role in your karmic journey remains active and significant. Such connections are not solely about the other person, they are equally, if not more, about you. When someone occupies your mind, it invites you to reflect on your own emotional state, beliefs, and desires. What is it about this person that continues to hold space in your thoughts? Is it a longing for the way they made you feel, a hope for resolution, or a recognition of something you admired in them that you wish to cultivate within yourself? Their persistent presence serves as a catalyst for self-awareness, urging you to delve into your own heart and uncover the deeper truths that lie within. At times, these connections can also highlight the importance of surrender and acceptance. While the mind may seek answers, closure, or a definitive resolution, the heart often understands that some bonds cannot be fully explained or categorized. The persistent presence of someone in your mind can be an invitation to let go of the need for control or certainty, embracing instead the mystery and beauty of human connection. By accepting their place in your inner world without resistance, you create space for healing and growth, allowing the energy of the connection to transform rather than stagnate. This soul-aligned connection is not a limitation, it is an opportunity. When someone remains in your thoughts, they are a signpost on your journey, pointing you toward areas of your life that need attention, healing, or expansion. They remind you of the interconnectedness of all experiences and the profound impact that even brief encounters can have on your evolution. Their presence challenges you to rise to your potential, to embrace the lessons they have brought, and to honor the growth that their impact has made possible.
The reason, like we're in this room now, each one of us is the way we are because of how we think.
For example, a lion will see an elephant, and the thing that comes to his mind, one word, lunch. Now the elephant is 10 times the size of the lion, probably 50 times heavier, and has more power. One stomp of his feet could destroy the lion. But when the lion sees the elephant, he doesn't look at size and weight and strength and power. He looks at lunch. I could eat this thing. And he acts the way he thinks. The size is not the problem. The weight of the elephant is not his concern. What makes him act is the way he thinks. And because he thinks he can eat the elephant, he attacks him. Now here's another amazing mystery. The elephant is larger, bigger, stronger, more powerful, heavier, and more intelligent. And yet when the elephant sees the lion, one word comes to mind: eater. The elephant is controlled by the way he thinks. He thinks that he is lunch. Therefore, his size, his weight, his power, his might, his authority is a victim of the way he thinks. It doesn't matter how big you are, how intelligent you are, how many degrees you get. It's your mind that keeps you small.
Maybe you think this way or that way. You are the result of your thinking. How you think will create your personality.
And it doesn't matter how small you are, or how unintelligent you may seem to be, or how much you don't have. It's your mind that makes you the leader. It is the thinking of the person that makes them see circumstances differently. Attitude is a product of belief. You cannot have an attitude beyond your belief. So your attitude comes from your belief system. The lion is the king because of what he believes about himself. and what he believes about the elephant and the giraffe. He believes that they are lunch, and he believes he can eat them. His belief system controls the whole situation when they meet.
A proud man is proud because of his thoughts. A humble man is humble because of his thoughts. A kind man is kind because of his thoughts. It's all about your thoughts. Then you have those who are always questioning things. It's because that is the way they think. Jesus said to the Jews that were around him, he said, why do you think like this? He said, why do these kind of thoughts arise in your hearts? The thoughts that were coming to them were the wrong thoughts. He said, why do these thoughts arise in your hearts? Why do you think like this?
Write this down. What you think is more important than what you do. And so if you want to change, you got to work on this attitude bit. My car is a mobile seminar hall. I got stacks of CDs that I buy, Les Brown and Tim Rebb and all the others, and I put them in my car. And when I'm driving, every time I sit in my car, I'm feeding my seed constantly. And every one of you that walked through that door today is a seed that was sent to the planet to produce a tree to serve the world. My parents loved us. We loved them. We had a great family, but we didn't have much. And every opportunity was around me to think negative. There were bars on the other side with alcoholics all over the place. And I remember, my mother and father would tell us things to fix our belief system. They would say, you can do anything you want to do, son. And they said that when I was sleeping on the floor. They were working on my belief system. And then they taught us the Bible. Now, I don't know about you and your belief about the Bible made me what I am today, so don't you talk bad about the Bible.
Suppose you say to yourself, I want to change the way I think. The only thing that helps you to make that change is the Word of God. One has to be submitted to the Word for the Word to affect him. You give your heart to God's Word. You give your mind, your thinking to God's Word. Let God, see, he tells us, present your body a living sacrifice. All right? Holy and acceptable unto God. That this is your spiritual act of worship. Then he says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed, metamorphosed by the renewing of your mind.
And the Bible helped me become what I am. But it was that book that checked my thinking. Ephesians 3 verse 20. Don't you laugh at the Bible. The verse said, now unto him who is able to do exceedingly, abundantly, above, far beyond all you can ever ask, think, or imagine, according to the power that worketh within you, to him be glory. I went from an F student to an A student in one semester because of my belief system. No one can live beyond the limits of their belief. So if you want to live beyond what you're living now, you have to change your belief system. Your life is what you think it should be.
Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Guard your heart with all diligence. Your heart is a garden.
You are what you thought you should be. And if you don't like who you are, you got to change what you think you should be. What brought me from the floor to flying my own jet is these simple statements here. You got to first change your perception of who you are. And that starts with a belief system. And you must develop a sense of significance in your life. Discover that you are important to the human race. You are important to the world. You are important to your universe.
See, don't allow your mind be this mind you've been growing with. No. Renew it with the Word of God. In other words, exchange your way of thinking for His way of thinking. Give up your way of thinking. Accept His way of thinking. You'll be amazed.
Because I've been taught by society, like you have, that you are just a social security number or some NIB number, or you're just kind of a worker in the system. But that's not true. You were born to do something very significant in the world. And you have to get to the point where you believe that. Belief is so powerful, it can make an elephant act like a sheep in the presence of a lion.
You'll be amazed at the blessings in your life. Listen, the blessing, when we talk about blessings, we're not dealing with earthly things. No, 1,000 times no. No, there are higher blessings than that. What are you going to do to your person?
Normally, people who are insecure, whenever they meet somebody who is confident, they always call the confident arrogant. When you discover who you are, you can't help but be confident. Confidence is a product of belief. What you believe about yourself determines the way you think about yourself, and the way you think about yourself is the way you behave. The next time someone says they want to get to know you, ask them, are you fertilizer or rock?
Proverbs chapter 24, and I'm going to read from verse 30. He says, I went by the field of the slothful. These are the Proverbs of Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived until Jesus. This is the guy whose life is full of inaction. He's not going to do the work that's necessary. And I want you to look beyond just the physical labor here, because the Bible does tell us there is such a thing as spiritual labor. So I want you to look at it from both angles. Either one that is lazy physically, or one that is lazy spiritually, or both, because the result will be the same. And by the vineyard of the man void of understanding, and lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. He says, I saw that his field was grown over with thorns and weeds. His field, his garden, his vineyard, covered with thorns and weeds. He says, this is the slothful. This is the man without understanding. His field has been neglected. His mind has been neglected.
There are some folks in your life right now who are very toxic. They will pollute your seed. You'll never come out. Have you noticed that people who ain't going nowhere want you to go with them? Folks who ain't doing nothing in life want you to do it with them. This is why you got to break away from your best friends sometime to become better. If they keep asking you questions, it's time to go. Be with people who you can ask questions. That's how you grow. You're trained to limit yourself. Now, I want to warn you, when you decide to break the speed limit, all your enemies will wake up in the office. Every critic that you thought was your friend will suddenly come alive, because people don't want you to leave them in their nothingness. The social environment is just making you afraid to come out and take what's yours in life.
Think about it. You're not introducing God's word into your mind. You're not studying God's word. You're not bringing it into your mind. What do you expect? Spiritual weeds are growing. You're getting more information from the world, more information from politics, more information from business, and all of these sources are not helping you spiritually, and they're bringing in thorns and nettles. And now, your defenses are breaking down. See, sometimes we look at other people's lives and we learn a lesson. You see it? I look at that guy and see what has happened with him. I learn a lesson. I say, wow.
There was a story of a man. His name was Caleb. Caleb was the man in the bush until he ran. And then they also told Moses that we were like grasshoppers in their eyes. Now, they never talked to the giants to find out if that's what giants thought about them. Let me say that slow. You missed that. They went into the land to check it out. It was already theirs. They saw some people in the land. They came back and told Moses, the people are like giants. And then they said, and we are like grasshoppers in their eyes. How did they know that? You are the way you see yourself. Do you think you're a grasshopper? The elephant actually thinks it's a meal for a cat.
Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands of sleep. Look at the result, verse 34. So shall thy poverty come, as one that traveleth, in other words, as a robber, and thy want as an armed bandit. Amen. You now understand why some people will always be poor.
It was their thinking that made them not go into the land. However, Caleb and Joshua came, and Caleb and Joshua said, Moses, don't believe them. We are well able to take the land. The people, oh, they're nothing. We can knock them off. The farms, matter of fact, then they said, the farms are beautiful. The grapes are big. I mean, all the cattle, man. Hey, Mo, let's go get them. The attitude was different. And here's God's response to Caleb and Joshua. He says, because my servant Caleb has a what? Different spirit, small s means attitude, and follows me wholeheartedly, I will bring him into the land. In other words, the only difference between the 2 and the 10 was attitude. They saw the same thing, they saw the same people, they saw the same land, but their perceptions were different based on their belief system. Caleb possessed the spirit of leadership, which is attitude. He was not a man that was bigger than them or stronger. His thinking was different. And that was the only distinguishing factor that the Creator said made the difference. Read that verse again. He says the only difference was their spirit was different. And the word there means attitude. It's a small s.
Listen, your mind is far more important than anything else. That's why you have the book, The Power of Your Mind. Very important. Oh, I've seen people who became ministers, preach the gospel, ministers, big time, and they were big. I've seen them come down poor, really poor. And I'm serious. I've seen ministers. They ran both church and business, and they lost both business and church. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. What am I saying to you? The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. If you want to understand human life, read the Bible. Man is just doing the same thing in different ways.
You have to nurture yourself so that you can produce the right attitudes. And nurture means to feed yourself the right information. We are what we think, and we become what we continue to think. And this is why I constantly monitor my thinking processes. My house is full of books. I'm beginning to run out of house because you become what you think. You cannot rise above the plane of your mental conditioning. So I got to constantly keep feeding my mentality. I have to work on it so I can work up my altitude of mentality. To change your life, you must change your mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we're diving into a profound topic that explores the unseen realm, the world that operates beyond the physical eye. We all know that life in its very essence is not merely about what we see, what we touch, or what we hear. There are forces at play that we often overlook, and sometimes those forces manifest themselves in the people around us. It's crucial to understand that the nature of influence can either uplift or lead one astray. Among the many things we must discern in life, we must also learn to discern the spirits and behaviors of those we encounter daily. Sometimes there are subtle signs that someone in your life may be walking in a different spiritual path, one that might not align with the principles you hold dear. Now, I want you to listen with the depth of understanding that every word spoken today is to sharpen your discernment. You see, life is a battle of spirits, and these spirits are not always the ones we can see or touch. The Bible talks about the spiritual warfare that takes place behind the scenes, and it is our job to be alert to these things. But what does this mean in practical terms? How do we discern the signs of someone in our life who may be walking in a way that could negatively affect us spiritually? There are certain characteristics, subtle yet significant, that reveal the nature of someone who operates under influence that is not in alignment with the truth. These are not mere coincidences, but signs that, when observed closely, will reveal the true nature of that individual. I want to share with you 5 of these signs, 5 characteristics that may indicate that someone in your life might be walking under an influence of witchcraft. Now, witchcraft is not just about broomsticks or the stereotypical images we see in movies. It's about the manipulation of spiritual forces, the use of unseen power for personal gain, control, or influence over others. First, you will notice that they have a subtle but strong influence over others, especially when it comes to manipulating emotions and perceptions. People who are walking under this type of spiritual influence often have an uncanny ability to control the hearts and minds of those around them. They will never openly show it, but they know how to work through subtle emotional manipulations. They know how to make others feel sorry for them, or how to guilt others into action, or how to convince people that they are the only ones with the truth. It's not always direct. Sometimes it's a whisper. Sometimes a look, sometimes a gesture. But the effect is clear. People find themselves doing things they didn't plan on doing, thinking thoughts they didn't intend to think, and believing ideas that were never originally their own. This influence is not from a place of love, but from a place of control. It's one of the easiest ways to spot someone who operates with spiritual manipulation. It's important that you recognize this in your relationships, because those who are under the influence of such spirits often leave destruction in their wake, relationships broken, trust eroded, and hearts left in turmoil. The second sign is inconsistency between their words and their actions. Someone walking in this spiritual realm will often speak with one mouth, but their actions will contradict what they say. They may tell you that they care about you, that they want the best for you, but their actions consistently show something different. They may present themselves as good, moral, or godly, but when you look closely, there is a disconnect. Their words are a cover for their true intentions. This is not just a simple matter of being hypocritical, it's a sign of someone who is deceived, and their behavior will continually show you that they operate out of self-interest and spiritual darkness. You can never build trust on words alone. Actions always tell the truth. The third sign is the desire to isolate you. One of the most damaging effects of this spiritual influence is the attempt to isolate you from those who genuinely care about you. Whether it's through sowing seeds of doubt about others, playing on your insecurities, or creating situations where you feel like no one else understands you, isolation is often a key tactic. They want you to believe that you need them, that you can't make it without them. This is a form of spiritual control. When someone is consistently trying to separate you from your family, your friends, or your support systems, you need to recognize that it's not just about them caring. For you, it's about keeping you in a position where they can control your thoughts, your decisions, and ultimately your life. You see, isolation is never a good sign. It is one of the strategies of manipulation and control. No one should ever make you feel like you cannot thrive or function in community. This is a crucial sign that someone may be working under a spirit of witchcraft, seeking to isolate you, to separate you from those who could offer you the truth and freedom that only comes through genuine relationships. The fourth sign is the presence of fear and anxiety. People under this spiritual influence will often use fear to control or steer situations. They will plant seeds of fear in your heart, make you question your decisions, and leave you constantly anxious about the future. Fear is not of God, and it is a powerful tool in the hands of anyone seeking to dominate you spiritually. When you feel yourself walking in fear or anxiety without a clear reason, it's time to ask yourself, where is this coming from? Does it come from within me, or is someone or something causing me to feel this way? When fear becomes a constant companion, it's often a sign of spiritual manipulation, and you must confront it head on. Fear paralyzes progress, it stunts growth, and it prevents you from walking in the full potential that you were created for. You were not designed to live in fear. Recognize that people who attempt to sow fear are not working with the spirit of truth. They may be using witchcraft to keep you bound in chains that were never meant to hold you. The fifth and final sign I will share with you today is the inability to accept correction or the truth. A person who is walking under the influence of a controlling or deceptive spirit will refuse to accept correction. They will twist the truth, manipulate situations, and create false narratives in order to avoid facing the reality of their actions. When you confront them with truth, they will either attack you, distance themselves from you, or try to convince you that you're the one who is wrong. They will always have an excuse, always find a way to deflect. This is not the behavior of someone who is walking in wisdom or truth, but of someone who is under spiritual influence, refusing to acknowledge the reality of their actions. Truth is the foundation upon which we stand. It liberates, it heals, it frees us from the darkness. Someone who cannot bear the light of truth cannot be trusted. When you notice this consistent pattern of rejection toward truth, understand that this is one of the clearest signs of someone walking in deception. Now, I know this may be a lot to take in, but I want you to remember one thing: your spiritual well-being is of utmost importance. You have the right to protect your peace, to guard your heart, and to discern who has access to your life. These signs I've shared are not meant to make you paranoid or fearful, but to equip you with the tools to discern the spirits at work in your life. The Bible says, test the spirits to see whether they are from God. This is not just a command, it's wisdom for living in a world that is full of unseen forces. As you move forward, may you be wise in your dealings, discerning in your relationships, and steadfast in your commitment to truth. You were created for greatness, not to be manipulated, controlled, or led astray. Guard your heart, watch your relationships closely, and trust the leading of the Spirit to guide you. God bless you. As we continue, I want to remind you that the signs I've shared are not isolated occurrences, they are patterns, often subtle in the beginning, but undeniable over time. You must trust your discernment, and most importantly, you must trust the power of the Holy Spirit to lead you in all matters of life. When you walk in the Spirit, you can identify deception from a distance, and you can shield yourself from spiritual forces that are not of God. There is no need for fear, because the Spirit of truth resides within you, and that Spirit will reveal what is hidden in darkness. But let's go deeper for a moment. These 5 signs are not just about identifying others, they are also about recognizing the nature of influence that operates through you too. It's critical that you do not only focus on what others are doing, but also reflect on your own life and your own relationships. The enemy works in subtle ways, and sometimes, without even realizing it, we may be affected by these influences as well. The key is vigilance, both inwardly and outwardly. Remember, the enemy's greatest weapon is deception. He operates in darkness, and he does not want you to see the truth. This is why discernment is so important. Discernment is not just a gift, it is a cultivated ability to recognize what aligns with God's truth and what does not. As you grow in wisdom, as you grow in understanding, you'll become more sensitive to the subtle signs of manipulation, control, and spiritual deception. It's not about living in suspicion, it's about walking in the truth. The truth will always expose what is hidden in darkness, whether it's the actions of others or the hidden inclinations of your own heart. You may be wondering, what do I do once I recognize these signs? How should I respond? Well, it is not enough to just identify something. You must act on the knowledge you gained. If you find yourself in the presence of someone who consistently demonstrates these signs, the first thing you must do is guard your spirit. Protect your peace. The moment you feel that influence trying to enter, whether through words, actions, or an emotional shift, take a moment to pray and seek God's guidance. Ask Him for wisdom, and He will give it to you. Next, don't be afraid to set boundaries. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to protect yourself by creating distance between you and someone who is operating under harmful influence. Love is not always about closeness sometimes. Love is about safeguarding your heart from negative influence. Do not feel guilty for putting up boundaries that protect your spirit. The Bible says, guard your heart above all else, for it is the wellspring of life. Your heart is too precious to be continually exposed to manipulation, deception, and control. There's also the need to speak the truth in love. In many cases, those under this influence don't even realize they are walking in deception. They may not be aware of the forces operating in their lives. So sometimes God may use you as an instrument of truth to gently correct or guide them back to a place of light. But remember, when you speak truth, it must be done with love. The goal is not to condemn, but to restore. You may find that as you stand firm in your understanding of truth, others will begin to see the light too. Now, while it's important to protect yourself and set boundaries, it is equally important to remember that prayer is your most powerful weapon. Prayer releases the power of God into every situation. When you feel that something is off, or when you notice these signs in someone's life, pray for them. Pray that the truth will be revealed, that their eyes will be opened, and that they will come into alignment with the will of God. But also pray for protection for yourself. Ask the Lord to shield you from any spiritual influence that is not of Him. The beauty of living in the light of God's truth is that darkness cannot stand against it. The light exposes the lies, the manipulations, and the deceitful forces that work in the background. When you walk in truth, you walk in power. And when you recognize that power, you will not be easily shaken by the deceptions of this world. Let's also take a moment to talk about spiritual freedom. The Bible says that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty is not just about physical freedom, it's spiritual freedom. It's the freedom to live unencumbered by fear, manipulation, and control. If you are under the influence of someone who is walking in witchcraft or manipulation, it may cause you to feel bound. You may feel like you are in a constant state of emotional turmoil, unable to make decisions freely or unable to move forward with confidence. But I want to remind you that you have the authority to break those chains. You do not have to live under the control of anyone, and you do not have to remain in relationships that are spiritually unhealthy. If there is someone in your life who is exhibiting these signs, take it as an opportunity to stand in your spiritual authority. Command the forces of darkness to flee and walk in the freedom that Christ has given you. You have the ability to break the hold that any spiritual influence has over you, and you have the power to live in the peace and light of God. Remember, spiritual discernment is not about walking in fear. It's about walking in wisdom, understanding, and truth. You are equipped for this battle. You are equipped to discern the forces at play and to stand firm in your faith. The enemy may try to work through people or circumstances, but you have already overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. No weapon formed against you will prosper, and no spiritual influence will have power over you as long as you stand firm in your authority. Let me remind you that you are not alone. You are part of a larger family, a body of believers, and we support each other. If you find yourself struggling, or if you notice these signs in your life, do not hesitate to reach out to others who can stand with you in prayer and provide counsel. Spiritual growth happens in community, and you are not meant to walk this journey alone. In all things, walk in the peace and strength that God provides. Let His wisdom guide your steps, His love shield your heart, and His truth expose the darkness. Trust that as you continue to walk in alignment with Him, you will find the strength to overcome any force that seeks to stand in your way. You are more than a conqueror, and in Christ you will always prevail. So as we finish today, remember this discernment is a gift. Protect it. Walk in it. Stand firm in the truth. And you will know how to navigate the challenges that come your way. Your destiny is bright, and nothing will prevent you from fulfilling the purpose that God has for you. As we conclude today, I want you to remember this. Your life is not a battlefield of flesh and blood, but a spiritual journey filled with unseen forces vying for your attention, your influence, and your future. The signs we've discussed are not merely warnings, they are invitations for you to stand firm, to rise in discernment, and to guard the precious calling on your life. You were created with a divine purpose, equipped with the power to overcome any force, any deception, and any manipulation that may come your way. But that power is only fully realized when you stand in the truth of who you are and whose you are. You are a child of God, clothed in His strength, filled with His wisdom, and equipped with His authority. The spiritual forces that try to control and deceive are no match for the Spirit of God that lives within you. You have been given the tools to identify darkness and the strength to walk in the light. So as you leave here today, let your discernment sharpen, let your boundaries be clear, and let your spirit be unshakable. Be vigilant, be wise, and never forget the authority you carry. The enemy cannot win if you remain rooted in truth, clothed in prayer, and unwavering in your faith. Stand in your spiritual freedom and walk boldly into the future God has prepared for you. Remember, your destiny is greater than any deception, and the light within you will always shine brighter than the darkness around you. Take these lessons to heart, for they are not just knowledge, they are your weapons in the battle for your peace, your purpose, and your future. You are not just a conqueror, you are more than a conqueror. And with God, you can and will overcome anything that stands in your way. Go forward in strength, in wisdom, and in the unshakable confidence that God is with you, guiding you, and protecting you every step of the way. The victory is yours, and it is already won. Walk in it.